Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
It is homecoming weekend at Baylor University. Homecoming day today at McLean Stadium. Baylor and Kansas in a series that's gone 21 years, 21 games, and 22 today on homecoming. We'll have a couple of notes on that for you in a moment. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, Garrett Ross runs the mothership. We just saw Emery Winter, Jack McKenzie, Levi Caraway, everybody doing what they do. The 365 Sports Tailgate is going on. It's just across the street on Martin Luther King across from McLean Stadium, and they put on a show. They absolutely put on a show. And Blake Blackmar, who is always there cooking something, he'll have a feature later on in the day with Buffalo baby back ribs. That today. We're going to hear from Darby Brown of KWTX in a moment from McLean Stadium. But here are a couple of notes on Baylor and Kansas historically. I mentioned this will be the 22nd meeting. Baylor leads the series 17-4. The first meeting ever was in 1971. Kansas won 22-0. The last time they met last year in Lawrence, Baylor winning 45-7. Baylor has never lost to Kansas in Waco. They're also 7-4 against KU in Lawrence. But here's the one that's interesting. And even when, we always discuss and we kind of have joked about how KU has given Texas hell with a couple of wins, including the one last year. But look at the average score during a 12-game winning streak when Baylor has had a team that was 1-11 and 2-7 and still hammered them. 48-11 has been the average score margin between Baylor and Kansas in football in the last 12 meetings.
Yeah, this has not been a two-sided series, and it's been a very long time since Kansas has won. But Kansas is back from the dead for sure this year. This is a different team. Both teams are different than their iterations from last year, and both are in a situation where if they want to stay in the Big 12 race, they really need to win today.
Yeah, it's been blowouts before, but as Paul said, different teams this year and not expecting that type of result necessarily today. Kansas, even without Jalen Daniels, has proven they're still plenty competent and still capable of scoring some points, and Baylor has not really shown that they're a complete football team that's just going to go run over somebody just yet. So, very interesting matchup today, and one that, all these cliches that we end up, saying over and over when you talk about kind of the same thing all the time. But, like whoever plays the best in all three phases and those types of things. I mean, but truthfully, that's what Baylor's going to have to do to have a chance to win the game is they're going to have to play complete. If they don't play complete, then they're going to feel like they did leaving Morgantown. They're going to feel like they did last time they were at McLean Stadium. And, people aren't going to walk away happy at homecoming. So, we'll see today, but I think, whoever plays best in all three phases, as cliche as it sounds, will be the team that walks away the winner.
It's time for Baylor to produce some non-offensive points, but right now they just need to stop somebody on defense after what was that we saw in Morgantown, West Virginia. You just heard in the background the noise around McLean Stadium. Darby Brown joins us during game days, and she's at McLean Stadium. Darby, thanks for your time. It's a windy day, but still a beautiful, warm day today. And your thoughts, it's homecoming, Baylor and Kansas. Thanks for being a part of our Game Day Live.
Yeah, I don't know. The fireworks are going off right now, so they're testing out some fireworks, so we can expect that later today. So quite an opening there, but definitely feels like homecoming. I woke up to the sounds of the band this morning because I live downtown, so it's a homecoming game for sure.
So, Darby, the Baylor's in a funk right now after the last couple of games. What do you want to see to know that they've broken out of it early in this game?
I mean, offensively, you almost want to see what they were doing in West Virginia, aside from a couple of turnovers there. They were rolling, and Blake Shapen was definitely rolling in that game. So I'd like to see all of that. But I think the biggest thing has to be on the defense. In that last game, they gave up about 500 yards. I mean, it's uncharacteristic the way Baylor's defense was playing. So I'd like to see them back to get to their way of playing, making good tackles to start and things like that. So getting back to the basics on defense for sure.
Darby, I know that there's not a ton of people there just yet at the stadium, but you see a few folks working in the background. It's homecoming, obviously. Have you been able to get a sense that there's a few more maybe people in town or a bit more activity than normal?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, driving over here, I had to avoid the parade route, so there are definitely a lot of people, even at a bright early parade, so people were there, and they'll come over here eventually as well. I saw some of the homecoming court and things come in too, so there's definitely a little bit of extra stuff going around, which can create some extra buzz in here, which I think would be a good thing to see.
Darby, I know they're testing the speaker system as well, and we appreciate you. One more thing, it is Baylor is right now 3-3. It's a crossroads game. I thought Thursday in Morgantown would be that as well, and it did not work out. You are there. You're at the media sessions and or whatever is going on each week. Your thoughts about this team and how they've just been a play or two away, and now it is do or die for them if they're going to be a part of any kind of chase.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're on a 2-game losing streak. I asked Ben Sims kind of a question about how Kansas is also on a 2-game losing streak, and what would it, what's the hunger going to be like for both of these teams? And I don't think he actually really liked the question. He kind of paused for a second, and then he did end up answering it. And he said, yeah, I mean, when you lose 2 straight, doubt starts to creep in. You start to question what you're doing a little bit. So I think they have to turn it around today. I really think for their confidence, they can say whatever they want, but if they're losing 2 in a row, they extend that to 3 today, that's not going to be good for anybody on that team. So I think they are desperate here to get a win.
All right, go put your homecoming queen outfit on for the next time we see you, Darby. And Darby Brown, KWTX with Game Day Live with us. We appreciate the cut-ins from the stadium. Gives us a feel for already a couple of hours away from kickoff. She will join us, Darby, again a little bit later on in the show. Now, she said homecoming. Garrett, the graphic Baylor football and homecoming. Now, remember, they've had some stretches where they have not been competitive, but their homecoming record, 49, 43, and 4 ties back before overtime. They've won their last 3 homecoming games. They've won 10 of their last 11 homecoming games, and they're 4-0 against Kansas, 6, 12, 14, and 16 against Kansas on homecoming when they have played them on this same day.
It appears that they fell into a little scheduling pattern with Kansas on homecoming.
It was a good time to do it. It was a good time to do it. 06, I'm not so sure about because Mangino was a year away from taking KU to 12-1, but they did win that game. You know what? And the thing about Kansas and Baylor, out of everything, the dominance that they've had and or whatever before, and we'll hear from Sharp, the former running back at Kansas, will join us today a little bit later on in the show, Jake Sharp. I always remember the 31-30 game. RG3 and Baylor were just playing lethargic. And remember, he had a long scramble. The offense was stuck in the mud. It was at Lawrence. It was a turning point game for that season. He went off, and eventually they won that game. Had to struggle to do it, but RG3 had a long, like a 50-yard scramble for a touchdown that gave them a chance, and they came back to win it 31-30.
Yeah, that was a game that they were kind of up against it in that when A&M and Oklahoma State had both kind of run them out of the building the last I don't know if it was the 2 weeks in a row, but maybe it was that. They played A&M and Oklahoma State and got beat really badly 2 weeks in a row, and then Kansas was kind of had them up against it, and then in the fourth quarter of that game, RG3 and the boys woke up, but it took a while for them to get out of that slump.
They were down 17-0. They were down 24-3. Robert Griffin III had a 49-yard touchdown that capped off an 89-yard drive. And then eventually RG3 threw a touchdown to Terrence Williams, threw a touchdown to Tevin Reese for a long 67 yards, another one to Tevin. They ended up winning. And Kansas, remember, 31-30, they went for 2, didn't make it. Baylor wins it 31-30, and that was on the last play, I think, of the game. I believe was what happened in that game in Lawrence, Kansas. All right, we have discussed the 800-pound gorilla with Baylor. Their identity last year was well known. They pounded you with the football, and they could hit you for some play-action passes with Tyquan Thornton. Sometimes they offsets with Treston Ebner, but they pounded you in the mouth. On defense, they pounded you in the mouth from every angle. You have some of those guys. We know some of them now in the NFL. They have not done that much this year. We keep talking about it. Do you think we'll see, of which identity do you think we will see more possibly today against Kansas?
The offense. I mean, I don't think they have the personality on defense to really do that, and Kansas's offense is too different for them to really do that.
I have no idea. I would think the defense, if they had some, backbone, and I don't mean to, say it in a disparaging way, but I don't know quite else how to phrase it in my head at the moment. But if they've got some backbone, then they're going to rear up today, and they're going to shut down Kansas's offense, and they're going to make it really hard for them to get in the end zone, because they haven't made it really hard for people to get in the end zone in a couple of weeks now. West Virginia basically did whatever they wanted to against Baylor, whether that was passing the ball or running the ball. Mm-hmm. If it was just passing the ball, you could excuse it and say, okay, well, the secondary is a weak spot. That's very clear at this point. And the idea that they were just going to reload the secondary was just wishful thinking at best. That's not going to go away. But I do feel like in the front seven, they can at least still do some damage. I don't know how they're going to go run the football today. I mean, we haven't seen them do that consistently all year long. If suddenly Quaylon Jones and Richard Reese are going to jump up and have a monster day, that's great. But I need to see more of that before I bank on the offense having some affair where they, are able to hit big plays to Gavin Holmes, for example, or a Monterey Baldwin, and then turn around and actually grind it out and run the football. I mean, they haven't done that all year. So I'm not expecting that today necessarily. And even if they were able to accomplish that today, I don't know that I would expect that going forward based on who they play. So, I'm a little in, little out, but I would think defense probably has a better chance, even though they have struggled. I understand. I don't believe the running game's consistent enough yet to just grind away and mix with big plays like they did last year with Abram Smith and company.
Kansas is, I believe, it's 19th in the country, averaging, or 17th in the country. I went back to the page a minute. They average 39.3 points per game. They have scored even in the games in which they have lost. They are, 19th in the country. Baylor averages 38 points per game. They're 25th. TCU's third in the country on their unbeaten start. West Virginia's 20th. Baylor just gave up 43 to them. Texas is 26. So there are 5 Big 12 teams in the top 26. That's not a surprise, but Kansas is averaging 39 points a game. And Baylor gave up 43, 36 to Oklahoma State, I think the score was, the weekend before. All right, it's Game Day Live. Garrett Ross runs the mothership. We appreciate all of our sponsors, Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, David Smoak. Game Day Live continues, and we will hear from Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhodes, who, his comments about 3-3 in the loss to West Virginia, plus the week of homecoming. This is Game Day Live.
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
I had bad back pain for more than 15 years and had multiple surgeries that didn't work. Then when I got the spinal cord stimulator, I felt like a new man. Thanks to the people at Advanced Pain Care, I can finally enjoy quality time with my family.
This reversible procedure works by blocking pain signals from the lower back and legs from reaching the brain. We've helped thousands of patients get relief, including myself. From Waco to Bastrop, there's a location near you. Advanced Pain Care, the pain stops here.
I'm Carol Weaver with Waco Mattress Center. Central Texas has grown a lot, and so has the Weaver family. We've been selling the best mattresses at the best price right here on Valley Mills Drive for over 20 years. With brands like Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and Beauty Rest, we've sold over 400,000 mattresses. Our family would like to thank you for choosing Waco Mattress Center. I'm Carol Weaver, your local mattress expert. Thank you for your business and keeping it local.
Waco Mattress Center.
Hi, I'm Vic Fazell. During these trying times, you might want to just stay home. And at the law offices of Vic Fazell, We understand. That's why we're set up to handle your personal injury claim without you even having to come in. Just give us a call, and we'll take it from there. We can send any paperwork straight to your smartphone or computer. Don't delay, because if we don't put money in your pocket, you don't owe us anything. I'm Vic Fazell.
We're back again, Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports on YouTube, and on KWTX. Thanks to a lot of different people. You've seen Darby Brown. We appreciate Barry Bass. Also, of course, Chris Williams, Josh Young, among many others. Andrew, as well, as they help us from what they do inside the studios at KWTX or the CW channel on occasion. This is Game Day Live, and one of the things that Baylor is dealing with, of course, along with the Big 12, is the upcoming addition of 4 teams: Brigham Young, Cincinnati, University of Houston, and UCF. Earlier this week, we had a chance to visit with Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhodes. We're now joined by Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhodes.
Mac, is there some benefit to a 14-team league for 2 years, seeing as it will allow you to kind of figure out what scheduling could be, should that be the permanent number, or at least part of what a permanent number could be in the Big 12 in the ever-fluid, changing world of college athletics?
Yeah, I think it's, Paul, a fair question. I don't mean to be flippant. Mm-hmm. I don't know that it really matters all that much. I think, the biggest decision we have ahead of us, right, is divisions versus one division, and I think that's really going to be the exercise for us, whether it's 12, 14, or 16 sometime in the future. So, those are things that we can continue to talk about and work through, and I think right now we're in a good place, and I think it's the right thing. We're focused on just these next 2 years with Oklahoma and Texas, and then once they exit, then we'll rethink it, and do we have the right formula? And okay. By the way, and apologize for continuing to go on. But by the way, there's factors that influence all of that, including, new TV deal, TV partners, plus, CFP going from 4 to 12.
You've got an improved Kansas team coming in here that is nobody's doormat anymore. They're super fun to watch, as is the whole league. How did all of a sudden the football side of this become like basketball, where there's no freebies in the league anymore?
Yeah, that's Paul, it's a great question. And, I think when you look at, 1 to 10 right now, there's some just really, really good football coaches in our league. And I think, across the board, every one of the Big 12 institutions has made a commitment to football. And, I think Kansas just, announced a $300 million, project to enhance their football facilities. We're breaking ground on a football operations center. And so I just think, every institution has been very intentional about investing in football, and you're starting to see it pay off. And I would just say 1 through 10, there's not a more competitive league in the country right now.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the competitiveness of the league. I think we saw that on display in that West Virginia game last Thursday night, and in the games that followed on Saturday. Obviously, that was a tough loss. Morgantown remains a haunted house. This team's now 3-3, and just listening to Dave Arend, it just seems like it's been, really difficult for this group to kind of find their stride for whatever reason that may be. But what were your thoughts coming out of that contest last week?
Yeah, candidly, I was not happy. And that's not to take anything away from West Virginia. That's a game that we could have won. It's certainly a game, in my opinion, I thought we should have won. I get that we were 0-5 going into Morgantown, I believe it was, but I just thought that was a game that we had a great opportunity to win, and we didn't. And I think we all take losses really, really hard, and that was certainly one of them. It just feels like, Craig, that we're just a hair off. And so I think for us, the key right now is to keep the team together. Because I think if we can keep it together, and Coach Aranda does such a great job of that. We can keep it together. I think we have a chance to have a great second half of the season. But I'll be frank. I think the first half, 3-3. I would be disingenuous if I said I was happy with that. We need to be a football program that's relevant, nationally relevant every single year, not every other year, not every, once every 3 years. And we have the opportunity to do that. And Coach Aranda has done a phenomenal job. And I think, the second half of the season will be an opportunity for us to get some things corrected and again, fix just those little tiny details. The margin there in terms of winning and losing is razor thin. And we've been on the wrong side of that, and we need to get on the right side of it.
Mac, thanks for your time. We appreciate you giving it to us on this day.
Thank you, gentlemen. You take care.
Mac Rhodes, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Richard Carr and his team are standing by the Bears in all sports this coming season, but Richard Carr's passion for football started many years ago when he was a trainer for the football team. In addition to his alma mater, Richard Carr also loves selling quality cars and trucks to his Central Texas neighbors. Whether you want the unbeatable GMC Sierra truck loaded with luxury and strong and tough for the workday, or the performance and ride of a Cadillac or Buick SUV, Richard Carr has an amazing lineup of vehicles for you. Stop by for a test drive, contact them online, or call and say Sikkim, and you're immediately a VIP at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Find them at Highway 6 at the Imperial exit or at richardcarr.com.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
Game Day Live, we're in our studios just west, about a mile, maybe not even quite a mile from McLean Stadium on the west side of I-35 on MLK, right next to and just off north side of the Brazos River. David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak. Glad you're with us this morning. Baylor and Kansas just after 11 o'clock coming up on, on McLean Stadium just after 11 o'clock today in the Big 12. So that's one game. Also tonight, the game, although that 2:30 kick between Texas and Oklahoma State is dicey and fun to look at and talk about, Kansas State in Fort Worth, 5-1, the loss to Tulane, who's now in the top 25, but unbeaten in the Big 12. TCU unbeaten, offense is scoring a ton of points, comeback win against Oklahoma State. We have discussed this a little bit, of course, throughout the week on 365 Sports. Paul, Kansas State, one of the leading teams in the country when it comes to rushing offense, number 8 in the country. TCU, number 14, despite what we might think about what, of course, Max Duggan does. Most of what he does, along with Miller and others, is run the football well.
Yeah, it seems like whichever team can establish what their attitude is going to be early in this game can control it, because these are teams that like to control the game, although, TCU's, shown the ability to come back. Kansas State is a team that when they get out a lead, they really hold it well. Their defense is really good. They've done some impressive things. I'm curious to see, which defense breaks a little bit, and if TCU's defense can dictate Adrian Martinez a little bit more than he has been the last few weeks and make him throw the ball. Now, look, the one touchdown they did score against Iowa State was an 81-yard touchdown pass, but they only scored 10 points in that game. They only scored 10 points against Tulane. So this offense can be bottled up if you do it right. I'm curious to see if TCU can do that to Kansas State.
Yeah, this basically comes down to the K-State offense in my mind. the TCU offense will come into play as well, obviously. But, how effective is Kansas State's offense running the football? And if that gets bottled up, then can Adrian Martinez just make a couple of plays? I think they've shown they don't need a bunch of points necessarily, but they might need a few more than normal against this TCU offense, who has been scoring at a high clip, as you pointed out. So, there's a lot of interesting angles with this game. And, I don't know what one thing maybe sways it one way or the other, but I do think if you look at K-State and they've got some low rushing totals, and they probably didn't fare well in this ball game, whereas I think you could point to TCU and say, well, they're not running the football well. That would be a big hit to them, but I think they could throw it a bit better if they need to. So, I'm looking at K-State's rushing game, and if that's effective, then I think they have a great chance of winning. And even if it is, that still might not be enough if they can't get some stops on defense, but that's the kind of the point of the game that I'm looking at.
TCU proved against Oklahoma State they can come back, because the offense, once it gets going, it's hard to slow them down, and they were really rolling at the end of that game in an overtime, pretty much dominated. Spencer Sanders did he kind of calmed down in the second half. And I kept wondering, I wasn't even thinking about the fact he might have some sort of injury or dinged. I just thought maybe TCU started to squeeze him a little bit, but that's been a story that we've looked at most of the week. And so that has a lot to do with it against Texas, which is the next game. Texas and Oklahoma State. We can discuss Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson and Quinn Ewers and Xavier Worthy and Jatavian Sanders or whatever. But one thing that Texas is doing better this year Better where it gives them a chance is playing defense. They're now 44th in the country. That's not a great number, but it's better against the run. So Texas on the road in Stillwater against what we don't know who plays quarterback at Oklahoma State today.
No, we got a tweet from Flyover State fan today about all of us picking Texas, and I do think that if we knew about Spencer Sanders and knew that he was 100% healthy, this pick would have been at least different from a couple of us, or maybe at least one of us. I just think that without Spencer Sanders, this Oklahoma State team is completely different across the board, and they were essentially without him for stretches of the game, even though he was there last week because he was just playing so poorly, being hurt and just not being, I say poorly, just being ineffective as banged up as he was. So if he's not there or if he's still playing that same way, Texas is going to win the game because I don't know where Oklahoma State gets the spark without him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why that's so surprising to not go full bore with Gunnar Gundy winning this football game. I think that that's just being smart. And, if there was some assurance that Spencer Sanders was playing and that he was – I think he's playing. I don't think it's a question of him playing or not. But how effective he can be is the question. So – I guess from that standpoint, I can understand that maybe you think that Spencer Sanders, slightly less than 100%, is still good enough to put him over the top, and I think he probably is. I'm leery of going that far with it, especially not knowing for sure how much his percentage really is. Is it slightly less than 100? Is it 75? Is he 50% what he normally is? That's a pretty big wild card. He's pretty much their offense, right? They don't have a star running back. They don't have a star receiver. They've got a bunch of guys who are good to above average, but they don't have Des Bryant or, Barry Sanders back there. Or, they don't have a ton of, those types of well-knowns. It's Spencer Sanders is basically their offense. So, yeah, if he's, healthy enough and effective, then I like their chances being at home, but I need more assurances than that to feel like they're going to overcome what Texas has been throwing out there. And look, Texas nearly got nipped last week at home, but like I said yesterday, I think that's probably a wake-up call for them. And if they get up for anything, they get up for big games, and here they are, and they know full well they're going into Stillwater. That's not going to be easy against a top 10 team, and I think they realize the opportunity they have. So I'd expect a sharp game from Texas today.
One of the things that's different this year, Texas ranked 37th overall defensively, giving up total yards per game. Oklahoma State is down. Remember last year, that was the Baylor and Oklahoma State, two teams. Baylor, by the way, total defense is 41st in the country. Texas is better in total defense, at least a large yards per game at this time. In Lubbock, where Baylor will be next week against Joey McGuire and Texas Tech. Tech, of course, has had to go through all the quarterbacks, Shuck, Smith, and also Barron Morton, 3-3 against 3-3 West Virginia, Texas Tech. A winner of this game gets to put their nose above water, just like Kansas and Baylor.
Yeah, I think I'm picking Tech. I think Texas, Craig might be the same way, but the difference in this game to me is the locale. If it was in Morgantown, I may flip it. Lubbock's a tough place to play. Both these teams have similar strengths and weaknesses. I tend to think that West Virginia's a little bit weaker on defense than Tech is, but that might be just my perception of watching the games that I have and not seeing it. Tech is a team that, no matter what, they hang around. That's what West Virginia did last week against Baylor. They hung around just enough until Baylor shot themselves in the foot for the last time, and they were able to take the lead, and Baylor couldn't come back. This is going to be an interesting game. I think West Virginia could very well win in Lubbock, but I just think that the home crowd might be just a little bit too much and propel the Red Raiders to the win.
I like West Virginia's chances a lot in this game. I think JT Daniels can put up some points on Tech's defense. I think Tech is a team that just plays really hard, and it's impressive how hard they play, but I don't think they're just abnormally talented or so superior, well-coached, that they're that much of a juggernaut. I think that around here, because Baylor's struggling a little bit, people kind of look longingly at Tech sometimes. And, I guess the only thing that I would look longingly out there is just the energy level and just kind of the edge that they have. But that's why they're in these games, I think, mostly is because of how hard they play and they won't go away. And so I think that tenacity is something that's going to be in full effect today. I think West Virginia is going to give them a run for their money. And I'm curious to see if Tyler Shuck actually plays or not. But I know we'll see the other two at least So that will be interesting to kind of see the evolving saga of their quarterback room. But, yeah, give me Tech because it's in Lubbock, and because it's in Lubbock basically is the only reason why I'm picking Tech in this game.
I picked Texas. I picked Texas Tech, and I also picked TCU at home against Kansas State, and I really struggled on that one. When we come back, we'll have more about Baylor and Kansas. Former Kansas running back had a chance to visit with Jake Sharp earlier this week. His thoughts. He was a part of that 12-1 Mark Mangino team back in 2007. He was a part of the straw that stirred that drink, but so was the quarterback, of course, in Todd Reese. We'll come back with the KU view of what's happening with Lance Leipold and KU football and Baylor football homecoming day, Game Day Live on KWTX.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sic 'em Bears.
My name is Carolyn Bess, and I'm Executive Director of the Waco Symphony Association. For 6 decades, we've been raising up future musicians by giving instruments to middle schoolers, scholarships for the Waco Symphony Youth Orchestra, and by funding Baylor interns in the Waco Symphony Orchestra. Help us celebrate our 60th anniversary by raising $60,000 for education and outreach. Invest in our youth today to make beautiful music tomorrow.
When storms damage your roof, there's only one place to call, and it's Montgomery Construction and Roofing. MCR offers detailed bids for affordable quality roof repair and replacement. Schedule your free inspection and make sure your damage is repaired right the first time. Our claim specialist can help walk you through filing an insurance claim for wind and hail, too.
Say goodbye to damaged roofs and yes to Montgomery Construction and Roofing. We roof Texas, and we are here to serve you.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sic 'em Bears.
Watch KWTX Weekend Mornings on News 10.
Former Kansas star running back Jake Sharp with us on 365 Sports Saturday, 11 o'clock, just after 11 o'clock, Baylor and Kansas, in a game that really, it's an elimination game in a way, Jake, because of the two teams where they are. But what a story for Kansas this year, and they obviously want to get back on track. But just what you've seen from the Jayhawks with Lance Leipold and what they're doing?
Yeah, Dave, it's night and day. Obviously, with the culture that Coach Leipold's been able to build. We're obviously still close to the program with the athlete performance that we do. We've got a good handful of guys on the team, probably most notably Sam Burt. And Sam was telling me it was last summer. I was trying to get him, down to a youth camp in Slime. He's like, hey, I'd love to come, but, on Wednesdays we have our culture seminars. And, I kind of laughed. I was like, well, you can get out of the culture seminar, can't you? And he explained to me, no, I can't, and it's a big deal, and it's how we're changing things, Jake, and I see it now. I mean, it's flat out, as everyone knows, it's all about culture, and you have a period of time, I really think about a 3-year window to grab the trust of your players and administration, and Lance has been able to do that, and it's been just a blessing, for us KU fans. KU fans, they'll show up, if you got something to see, and our guys are playing hard, and they are putting on a show.
How would you define culture?
Everything. I don't know how you would do everything other than without quality culture, you have nothing. And you can have all sorts of different types of culture. I mean, like what's the Nick Saban speech? Where you can be bad, average, good, great, or elite. And really the main element of all that is culture and what standard you hold yourself to. And if you don't have a standard, a high standard in your culture or a culture of being unselfish and all the things that we already all know, what makes a winning program and what makes that culture. But the reality is it's, I guess if I was to define it, it's, just that the standard set forth that a group plays by. And I've seen an absolute shift in Lawrence, Kansas, in the football program of what they've been doing from a culture standpoint.
You had a heck of a career at Kansas. You were a part of that fantastic, dynamic 12-1 team and played in the Orange Bowl and all of what you did under Coach Mangino. What was that like? Because that was Kansas has names in their program. John Hadel, John Riggins, Gale Sayers, and there's others. That was perhaps as good a year as they've ever had. What was that like that year?
It was a culture of winning. When the tide's rolling, that wave's rolling one way, it's hard to slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a winner, you're a winner. And when you're a loser, you're a loser. And the culture's the same. You might have the culture of a loser, okay? And Coach Mangino instilled a culture, of a winning mentality and actually sacrificing and doing the sucky things that make that possible. And there was just there was zero acceptance of anything other than perfection, or at least what you aspire to be and chase that perfection. And there was discipline, and you played hard. So there was no excuse for anything. And I think that's what we were missing. I think a guy would drop a ball, in the past, and it was like, hey, okay, man, well, that doesn't work. Like, if you drop a ball, you're a piece of crap in some way.
Right.
It's unacceptable. Like, you get off the field. If you can't get it done, God bless you, it ain't gonna work. So I just think, when you watch our defense, a guy gets stood up, there's guys coming in from all angles, letting the guy have it. And in the past, we'd have a DB going after a guy on a goal line, a chance to tag a guy pretty hard, and he wouldn't take the shot. And you watch any championship team, any great, or just any winning team, your defense is taking every shot they get, and that's just the difference. It's that little bit of difference. There's very little difference between winning and losing, but I think that culture is where it lies.
So Todd Reesing, obviously Kerry Meyer, but you guys had a nice run. There was a reason. There was talent and there was really good coaching. What was Todd Reesing? How would you explain how valuable he was?
He was the it factor. He was the culture. That guy looks at 10 TV screens and runs numbers and is the fastest thinking, like high energy, no excuses guy ever. And he was kind of our commander-in-chief, the brains behind everything. And he still is that guy. He's a CEO type guy, right? He's to this day, the quickest, fastest thinking guy. His brain will process something 10 times faster than his running back ever did. Yeah, and I think all the great ones do. A lot of the great quarterbacks, they're just different. They are. Like, their brain processes at a faster rate, and they seem to be able to handle things that the normal person can't handle. And that's what I would say about Todd, and just a relentless competitor. In a winner. You could be, playing beer pong, and he would try and kill whoever he was playing.
Yeah.
Or any. It could be, pickleball. Like,
right.
The dude is out to kill, and he just gets off on competition.
You played the running back position. Devin Neal's very, very good. And then there's others. Jalen Daniels gave him the running game. Of course, he's hurt. Jason Bean can run. He's a heck of an athlete. But they're running for nice yardage. That's kind of their strength. It's unfortunate what happened to Jalen, but I really like what I saw from Bean when he came in a tough situation. Your thoughts about their identity on offense and what they do?
Man, they just move the ball. They make plays. Yeah, they make plays when they need to make plays. They've got some playmakers. From the running back position, we've never had running back depth like that since I've been watching KU football. There was a reason I was hobbling around out there with a busted leg half the time. We didn't have any depth. Our next guy was a freshman, Tobin O'Perm, who ended up playing in the NFL as a DN. He was just a great athlete. But I think we've got three guys playing running back at KU right now that would play on any Big 12 team, if not start. Kai Thomas coming in from Minnesota, starting up there. Kai's, I think he's been a little dinged up here this first half of the season, but I expect big things from Kai. And Devin being a hometown kid, I think it's just fantastic. That's what we got to do. We have to win with Kansas kids, and then you've got to get some studs, out of some other places that are, diamonds in the rough. K-State wins when they're winning, having good seasons, with the majority of them being Kansas kids. I think most programs do that. Kids close to home, they play hard. There's the pride factor, and there's just a whole lot more, I think, care in general. You want to go home and you want to be received well and, celebrated. You don't want to go home and be like, oh, man, you guys are terrible. Why are you playing there,
Jake Sharp, former Kansas running back and now trainer, fitness, combine, showcases, does a great job. Jake, we appreciate it so much. Kansas and Baylor at McLean Stadium on 365 Sports.
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
I don't know what any of this stuff is. Is the Jeep not starting? Token, can you please come help?
Y'all call for a tow?
Yes.
Y'all call for a tow?
Yes.
Call Tow King 24 hours a day for all your emergency roadside needs.
Greetings and salutations, fellow football fans and tailgate aficionados. I've been listening to audiobooks, so my vocabulary might be a little more elite this video. Today, we got an easy, fun experiment. I've never done this before. We're doing buffalo-style ribs. Baby back ribs on top of that. I don't really cook baby back ribs either. I would crush these at a tailgate. And they came out awesome. Looking like this. Oh, tender. Smoky, so tender they split apart right there. Tangy, can't wait to try these buffalo style baby back ribs with homemade blue cheese, grandma seasoning. Today we're working with pork baby back ribs. Not gonna lie, I barely ever use baby back ribs. These are okay, they could be a little meatier, but I think they'll get the job done. Today we're working with baby back ribs. These are honestly kind of a sorry looking rack. Should have done a little bit better job picking them out, but pickings were slim. This is membrane removed already. I don't think you really need to remove the membrane, but it's nice that someone did it for us. Some of this little scraggly ends like that, I'll just cut off and feed to my dog. It'll probably just burn off in the cooking process. We're experimenting today. I don't really cook baby back ribs. I've never done these buffalo ribs before. So we're gonna keep things real simple. Favorites, all-purpose seasoning for the win. People do way too much to ribs. There's all these wrapping, and some people will put 3 or 4 seasonings on there, and I've done it, and it's good. But at the end of the day, you're getting the same flavor notes: salt, pepper, heat, sugar, right? However you wanna get there, let's get there. But today, these are gonna be buffalo ribs, so I'm gonna toss them in buffalo sauce. So I'm trying to keep our seasoning very simple. No slathers, no binders, nothing. Just salt, pepper, a little garlic powder, and we're gonna let these sit at room temperature for 20 minutes while the pit's coming up to temp. My bad, guys, I almost forgot to show you the most important coaching point. I'm cooking these on my pit barrel cooker, made for me by my buddy Jared Coyne. So when doing that, I'm gonna hang the ribs. So I've just hook this meat hook through right underneath the third bone. This will suspend the ribs and give the fat end close to the fire, keep this smaller end up away from it, protect it. All right, pit's holding steady at 250. Got to work quick with these pit barrels because you give it too much oxygen, it will go on you. We're gonna put in our hanging rods. We're gonna put in both, even though we only need one, because I'll lose them if they're not together. Hanging our ribs right over the coals. So the bottom of that rack is about 9 inches to a foot over the coals, but it won't burn, trust me. Again, it's important to have low coals. You don't want a fire on this one. While our ribs are cooking, let's make some blue cheese dip. If your team ranch over blue cheese, well, I forgive you, but grow up. Let's be honest. Blue cheese is superior. We're gonna start with about that much mayonnaise. Sour cream in. I don't use sour cream for anything else, so we'll use the whole thing. A little heavy whipping cream to smooth it out. A couple dashes of W sauce, one more. Now for my secret ingredient, an unmarked old family recipe for ranch blue cheese dressing. It's so secret, they won't even tell me what's in it. I don't know what I have to do to get the recipe. I just get past these little seasoning bottles to use at my own discretion. So we're gonna go in with about that much. It's not necessary. You can also just use some favorites, all-purpose, salt, pepper, little herbs. We're gonna go in with about half our blue cheese crumbles. God, I love blue cheese. I'm just gonna mix this up by hand. You could blend this in a blender, stick blender, whatever, but that's if you really want like a creamy blue cheese. I like a little chunk on mine. Whip that bad boy up. But first, I'm gonna chop some parsley. Again, I like strong flavors like herbs in there. Just chop this up nice and fine. Make it rain a little more. Most blue cheese dressings won't have this much herb at all, but I like it because I like a little something to punch through that richness. That's dynamite, dude. All right, guys, it's been about 1.5 to 2 hours. Time gets a little loosey-goosey. Have not touched this. Moment of truth, don't drop it. We had to come out into that good light, the good natural lighting to get this picture. Good looking rack of ribs. Beautiful color. Bet they taste great. We're gonna give them just a little bit longer and then I'll probably wrap these bad boys up. These ribs look great. Let's go ahead and sauce them. We're going on with Frank's Red Hot Wing Sauce because we could make our own buffalo wing sauce using Frank's Red Hot and butter, but I would just be trying to make this stuff. We're gonna flip that over, meat side down. We're gonna pull out our meat hook. We're gonna put a little sauce on the back side too. We're eating them. We'll just add that little pat of butter because we're good fat Americans. Heavy duty aluminum foil. That's for my one UK fan. Meat side down on the grill. Got the air choked off. We'll get back to around 275, 300. Should be another hour. We're gonna unwrap these bad boys. Looking like some buffalo baby back ribs. Whoop. Beautiful. Beautiful. A little caramelized, buffalo, buttery, smoky. All right, so what we're gonna do right here is pinch off this a little bit for me. Oh yeah. So now, buffalo wings are finished over the heat on the grill. You can also tell these are tender because they're about to shred apart, just trying to pick them up. All right, whoops. We're gonna let these hang out over the charcoal for just 5-10 minutes. I've never been to Buffalo, but I assume that's what it smells like. Buffalo sauce hitting the hot coals. Once again, I'm trying to run a professional operation over here, and my dog is literally eating wood while I cook these ribs. Once these ribs are glistening, a little charry, smoky, tender, it's time to eat. All right, time for everyone's favorite part. I get to eat, you get to watch, and I try to edit out all the smacking. That was just a little piece that fell off, and I just ate it out of instinct because that's what I do. I see meat, it tastes good, I eat it. See me had to come to correct right there? You better come correct when you're eating these because that was a bite. No blue cheese on it, but the tanginess from that buffalo sauce, the smokiness, it makes you stand up straighter. You're like, oh, this is a meal. We're here to play. Like that first hit of a football game, you pop pads for the first time, and you're like, okay, yeah, we're playing. Beautiful, tender. I mean, hard to beat that. They're a touch overcooked because they did shred when I cut, and I will not show you the me cutting them footage because once again, I am so bad at cutting ribs. But hot damn, I'm just snacking. I haven't even done the official taste test yet, and I'm already hyping it up. I'm going on with a little blue cheese just because those bites, they've got a lot of pop. They've got a real simple smoke flavor, salt and pepper. But I'm going on with a little blue cheese because half the time, like, wings are just an excuse to eat blue cheese for me, elite level person right here, elite palate. If you're still in the ranch game, I don't know what to tell you. That was a piece of bone. I found that out for you guys. You're welcome. I thought it was a snack. Wipe our face like a proper gentleman, cleaning bones. And I'll tell you what, that's really good. I would eat baby back ribs all the time if they came like that. I'm a spare rib guy myself. They're bigger, they're cheaper, but damn, baby back ribs like that, money. Beautiful. The flavor on these, perfect level of saltiness, smoky, tender. I'm not even mad that I overcooked them a little bit because they just shred apart. I'm licking my fingers. I'm, acting like a Neanderthal, and it's so damn good. I could crush this whole rack. The rib by itself is tasty. It's elite, but it also has a little bit of spice, and it makes you want to go for that blue cheese dip. That's how you clean a rib bone. Hot damn! I love this recipe. Thanks for watching. Sick 'em Bears. Tune in next week.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the City of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em Bears.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
Back at Game Day Live, we will hear from Darby Brown, KWTX, live from McLean Stadium. Also, one-on-one conversation with head football coach Dave Aranda on where his team is and some questions that we wanted answers. We got them from Dave Aranda, as we always do. Other games tonight and today, throughout the afternoon and day, top 25 bangers. You have the UCLA game in Oregon in Eugene. Clemson at home, unbeaten Syracuse. Ole Miss at LSU, maybe upset a watch there with LSU 5-2. Ole Miss is rolling under Lane Kiffin in that running game. Mississippi State at Alabama. Who's Alabama this week after giving up 52 to Tennessee?
I don't think it matters against Mississippi State, though, unfortunately. Maybe they make that a game, but I still think Bama's going to be fine today.
All right.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Mississippi State score a lot in the game, but I think
score 3, 7.
Well, I mean, score a lot in the game.
I think the spread's 17 or something crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't think they were expecting another big Bama loss on the horizon. But hey, they've got good quarterback and they're solid. But we'll see.
One note, and we brought this up off the air yesterday, but Nick Saban was at his weekly show that he does at a local restaurant. He said that when Tennessee lined up to go for 2 once, they lined up in what is the I formation. It's not something we see very often. It's something that was the bread and butter. Well, Wisconsin sometimes runs that power formation, but most everybody now is in the spread. Nebraska made a living off of running the option in the I formation. He said his team did not know what to do. One receiver split way left, one receiver split way right, and his quarterback under center, 2 backs behind him, and they just this is like Chinese. What is this? And it was kind of a funny moment. At the same time, it goes to show you how much offenses have changed. All right, Baylor and Kansas. I put up and kind of looked around. I'm not a big stats guy, but I did throw out this, and I mentioned this before. Kansas, something's got to give. Kansas is averaging 208 yards a game on the ground. Baylor 185, pretty even. Kansas a slight edge. Baylor has 461 per game yardage, KU 440. Both in the top 40. Rushing defense, even though it doesn't seem this way, and this is a higher number than last year, Baylor's 41st in the country in total defense, 30th in the country rushing defense at 116 per game. Kansas gives up 145 a game on the ground, and they're 111th total defensive yards per game at 439.
Yeah, I don't think I think Baylor's numbers are a little sometimes you say overall in the country. I kind of sometimes like to look at the last couple of weeks. The last couple of weeks, that's not, they feel like they're a lot further down than 41st. Yep. So right now what they're doing is not that. And so Kansas a good running offense. Jason Bean's a good running quarterback. By the way, changed his number today to number 9, and he's going to wear that for the rest of the year. I'm not sure what the story is on that, but Jason Bean can run the ball a little bit. They've got other running backs. I know they're missing their starter there, but yeah, that's going to be a problem for Baylor. I think overall though, Kansas' defense is what is their deficiency, and I think Baylor's offense, the way it's been playing, can really kind of run over them.
Yeah, I agree with that. If Baylor doesn't score points today, then sound the alarms, and they're going to give up some points against KU's offense. But I'm still banking on this defense. The big home game, big homecoming crowd, and the realization that they kind of have no choice but to win this game if they want to accomplish anything really the rest of the way. I expect them to step up and, get some stops today. And if not, then, then all bets are off the rest of the year. But I would think that there's a little gut check, a little pride today from the defense. And if they can just get a couple stops here and there, maybe actually get some turnovers and not drop, 3 interceptions in your hands or close to it like they regularly do, it seems like, then if they get some stops, I think that Blake Shapen and the offense can handle their end of the bargain and score enough to get a win today.
All right, we will hear Dave Aranda try to explain why they cannot get to the quarterback. Is it a defensive front problem, or is it the coverage problem, or both? That plus much more. And we'll hear again from Darby Brown live from McLean Stadium. This is Game Day Live.
Come experience modern luxury living at Portico at Friars Creek in Temple. Enjoy our pet-friendly Tuscan and loft-style Texas-sized floor plans with desirable features like stainless steel appliances, vaulted ceilings, designer colors, expansive walk-in closets, washer and dryer connections, high-speed internet access, and so much more. You'll love our community amenities like a zero entry and our resort-style pool with an inviting outdoor cabana. Find your next home now at PorticoApartmentsTemple.com. Portico at Friars Creek in Temple, a Case & Associates property. Find Case, find home.
At Dr. Smiley, you're always our top priority. Dr. Lee, Dr. Lim, and the friendly staff are committed to delivering exceptional and professional care in general, family, cosmetic, and emergency dental services. Get $24.99 implant, abutment, crown, 3D CT scan, and consultation. Dr. Smiley accepts Medicaid and most dental insurance. Call Dr. Smiley today at 254-732-2606 and book your appointment today.
Home Place Interiors. From designer drapes to custom total installation, quality area rugs to a wide selection of floor covering, Home Place Interiors has you covered. With over 40 years of experience, you can trust John Proctor and his knowledgeable staff to help you with your next home project. Home Place Interiors, where we do business the old-fashioned way, on a handshake.
KWTX News 10 Weekend Evenings.
Baylor football coach Dave Aranda with me, David Smoak on 365 Sports. As someone with your background in the relationships, psychology, how much, and is it more frustrating to you when you sometimes may misread your team, misjudge them, than even if a quarterback throws a pick or someone makes a mistake on the field?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I think it's right now it's difficult because I think they're probably finding out about themselves as well, and so I think there is, in the process of trying to get to the kind of what the basis for this action or the why, and to get to all of that, you don't want it to be you don't want to create a whole other thing when you're trying to address this one, poor performance or this one, missed opportunity. And so I think you want it to be, you want to get information, and you want to help better understand from their view what the problem is. And so I think when, there's not a real sure feel on that side of it, it only clouds it, and I think that has been apparent to me these last couple weeks. And I think the view for us as coaches to to try to be clear and really define what we're saying, I think can help with their interpretation of events. And so that's been the path we've been on, but it's been a unique one.
You've mentioned complimentary football. That's been missing on occasion. You said something in the postgame that you thought your team was ready to go to battle, to ready to fight. And I know that human nature is there's going to be good days and bad, but shouldn't they always be in that mode before a game?
It's funny. You would think so, but that, you have to really work to get them there. And I think, we've probably had some games this year, unfortunately, and none of us ever talk this way, but this goes to the task within the task, where I think we showed up thinking we're just going to win this game. Here we are. Where's the championship belt? And so and that was something that's never been a core belief or a core anything we do. And so when that shows up, that's very alarming, and that's something I take really almost personally. And so the ability to be at your peak and be at your most ready when the game starts is really a skill, and we're still trying to hone that.
I'm not trying to dig too much, but is there something missing? You've mentioned maturity. You've mentioned this or that. There's nothing really in the core of this team that's an issue behind the scenes, is there?
No. I think, everyone is really trying to do everything they can to win, and I think that may be it right there. Is that instead of maybe our way or maybe instead of the scheme's way, or maybe instead of the coach's way, or maybe instead of this unit's way, we're trying my way. And I think that's something that we have to all get on the same page with.
As a defensive guy, that's what you're known for. It doesn't mean you don't know all the other stuff as well. How much does it hurt your defensive soul, so to speak, when you have that kind of a performance, tackling, assignments, whatever else on Thursday night?
Yeah, it's for sure frustrating, and it angers you really when you watch it, and you think of, and I think it just speaks to just a few weeks ago, right? Here we are making big time stops and kind of really, in a lot of ways, just doing the opposite of that, and it just shows you how I don't know. It just shows you how this game can. You can't cheat the game, and you have to prepare and work in such a way that your best. You're going to go. Saturday is going to be judged not by what you think or what you hope, but by what you have, and you got to put all of it in. And so I think what a great lesson to our defenders, and I know there's a call that'll be answered here coming up.
You mentioned the film Don't Lie. There's no question. I mean, that's evidence. What's it like when you play it in front of the team? Is it quiet? Is it murmuring? What's it like?
Yeah, no, it is, and I think those are part of the hump we're trying to get over. I think there's times when the view of the film becomes such a deterrent to their play on Saturday, and I think there's nothing in our film room where it's shame or blame or any of that, but it's like, here's something that happened, here's where we got to get better. I think we've got guys that all try to do well to the ninth degree, that and they're perfectionists by nature, and for sure anxious about doing right and everything else. And then when they get in to a game and they don't do well, there can become a thought of, oh, this is gonna suck to see this in film on Monday or whatever it is. And that's part of the fight we're trying to get, is to not think that way, right? To continue to put it all out, to practice on Saturday. I think some of that is affecting the play that we're seeing.
What is the biggest deterrent to you not playing complimentary football?
I think we've got guys that are our team is getting in our own way. And it's a failure on my part. I think 95% of coaching is helping people get out of their own way. And right now we're finding ways to get in our own way. And, I think trust the process. I think clearly define what the process is, clearly define, who we want to become, energy and edge and execution, and really kind of show the examples of what that looks like, and show that, hey, we've done this before, right? We did this in this last game with some glimpses here and there. We have to stack these and put these together, and I think that's, winning is always, it takes what it takes. I think that has not changed. Hopefully we have changed.
You had generational players on defense last year with Petrie and Bernard. When you sent them after the quarterback, it didn't take long to get there, and their instincts along with speed was an incredible combination. JT Woods. What's going on with your pass rush? Is it the defensive line, or is it the coverage that's kind of battling each other on who is doing what they're supposed to do?
I think the secondary-wise, there has been there's been such a need to play two high safeties and cover the guys that are covering that has limited the rush component. Last year there was much more of an emphasis on single high, and while there still was some too high being played, not to the extent that we're playing now. And I think some of that has been, probably mid-season or I guess, 3 games ago, two games ago. And I think I'm hopeful that we can come out of that, for the sake of our rush, we need to get to where there's more single high and there's more, variations of pressure, because I think, we continue to cover the guys that are covering, it's the rush that gets hanged out to dry.
Are you playing cover 2 and 3, or are you playing quarters? What are you doing?
A lot of two. A lot of two-man.
So this team is still pretty good. You just right now the record doesn't show it. You need a win desperately. What would a win mean against Kansas just to get back in the win column?
I think it would bring some energy to guys. I think it would bring probably some validation to the work that they've been putting in throughout these last couple weeks. But then, I think for us to achieve all of it, we have to be able to focus on what's right ahead of us. I think of today, and I think of the team meeting, I think of a special teams meeting, I think of the unit meetings, the position meetings, the walkthrough, the practice, and let's knock all of those out with some energy and some focus, and let's, it's our standards versus Kansas's standards today. Let's win today. And I think, that type of emphasis, I think, will get us to where we want to be on a Saturday.
You're a third-year head coach. It's not like you've been coaching for 15 or 20 years as a head coach. The first year was COVID and was rough. Last year was unbelievable. Best year ever at Baylor history. What have you learned about yourself in third year?
I think that it's, it's a good question. I feel like that, not everyone's like me or like you, and so I think, the doing something for an outside, reward or doing something for what am I going to get. I think those are things where I almost feel like, we're almost training kids to be more that way. And I'm the very opposite of that in a lot of ways. And so I think, having the lens to see that clearly and to always be on the lookout for that, I think is a strong lesson from this year.
Are you disappointed?
No, I think, I think there's always like a learning and growing part of it, I think that, if I turned away and didn't want to see it or didn't want to talk about it or any of that, then I'd be disappointed.
Last question, personally. Your son plays 7th grade football, and you kind of stand off to the side. I'm sure everyone knows who you are. I had someone tell me, Dave Aranda's son can go. Is it fun? How much fun is it watching him play football?
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's he enjoys it. He plays baseball too, and so when COVID hit, he really kind of retracted, and all of a sudden, video games, and there's like these video game chairs, and there's video game headsets, and we're kind of going, what happened to our boy? And while he still has that, I think it's so much better to see him outside and playing sports and being on teams and everything, and so way appreciative and thankful for the coaches and the teams that he's on.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Dave Aranda, Baylor football coach on 365 Sports.
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
One thing I hear most often from my patients is they still have pain after back surgery. In fact, almost 50% of my patients have experienced failed back surgery.
I had a disc decompression, which actually didn't work. I didn't ever think I was going to feel better. Then I went to Advanced Pain Care. Now I feel better than I've ever felt before. When Advanced Pain Care says the pain stops here, they definitely mean it. I am thankful to Advanced Pain Care for getting me back to doing the things I love.
Call today for a same-day appointment. Locations across Texas. Advanced Pain Care, pain stops here.
My name is Carolyn Bess, and I'm Executive Director of the Waco Symphony Association. For 6 decades, we've been raising up future musicians by giving instruments to middle schoolers, scholarships for the Waco Symphony Youth Orchestra, and by funding Baylor interns in the Waco Symphony Orchestra. Help us celebrate our 60th anniversary by raising $60,000 for education and outreach. Invest in our youth today to make beautiful music tomorrow.
We all are experiencing how the current crisis is affecting our communication. Conducting virtual meetings or classes from the workplace or your home while maintaining security, efficiency, and effective communication throughout your organization is the new normal. Asbel Electronics can set up your business, school, or house of worship with hardware kits to enhance your virtual meeting experience and provide secure market-leading Cisco WebEx meeting or Teams for your face-to-face communication. Call Asbel Electronics at 254-824-0237.
Here we go, Game Day Live, wrapping up these last 8 minutes or so of the show on KWTX and also on 365 Sports. Straight to Darby Brown. She is at McLean Stadium. And Darby, there was the question after West Virginia about Blake Shapen that we heard early in the week. He was practicing. Your thoughts about what you see from him during pregame so far today?
Yeah, question was cutting out a little bit, but you're asking about Blake Shapen, and I can see him out here warming up. He is down in the corner of your screen in the end zone, fully dressed, throwing the football. So it looks like so far all we can see, I mean, he's doing what he would need to do to start today.
So you don't think this is a Dylan Gabriel-like misdirect on the part of Dave Aranda?
I mean, it's possible, but I think based on what Dave Aranda had said on Wednesday during the coaches show and seeing him out here today, I think it's all a positive sign that he'll be able to start. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. We got about 40 minutes, so we'll know for sure.
Obviously, Darby, the wind this morning was like 15 miles an hour. It could get even higher than that. Is it obvious on the field? We can see without obviously blowing your hair. What's it like on the field right now?
Yeah, well, I'll flip this around so you can see this. Oh, maybe not. Here we go. This just almost fell on me right here where they kick into that. So basically, yeah, it's pretty windy out here. I'm having to hang on to my tripod. So I don't know if it's going to affect the play so much, but it's coming and going with the wind. It might be a factor.
Darby, thank you. It usually when it's windy like that, you think about the passing game, but it's like one of those punts that comes down a little bit earlier. Somebody muffs a punt or a kick because of the wind. Darby, as always, thank you so much for your time and being a part of Game Day Live. Have a great day.
Thanks, you guys too.
That's Darby Brown down on the field at McLean Stadium, and then the update, Blake Shapen, who Dave Aranda mentioned on his TV show at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, was working out, was practicing, and will start for Baylor against Kansas. All right, we come back with our predictions on today's game. 365 Sports, KWTX, and Game Day Live.
Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Richard Carr and his team are standing by the Bears in all sports this coming season, but Richard Carr's passion for football started many years ago when he was a trainer for the football team. In addition to his alma mater, Richard Carr also loves selling quality cars and trucks to his Central Texas neighbors. Whether you want the unbeatable GMC Sierra truck loaded with luxury and strong and tough for the workday, or the performance and ride of a Cadillac or Buick SUV, Richard Carr has an amazing lineup of vehicles for you. Stop by for a test drive, contact them online, or call and say Sikkim and you're immediately a VIP at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Find them at Highway 6 at the Imperial exit or at richardcarr.com.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the city of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed and kids club, 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com, call us at 254-753-7675, or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, 3 Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
And we're back. Wrapping it up just after 11 o'clock, Kansas and Baylor at McLean Stadium, about a mile from here. You've heard from KU, you've heard from Miranda, you've heard from Darby Brown. We've given you the games and schedules. Paul, your thoughts, KU and Baylor, final thoughts.
I think this is probably a little bit of a shootout for a while. I think Baylor wins probably by 10 or so. I'm kind of leaning with Vegas here, especially with Blake Shapen more than likely playing. I think Baylor 38, Kansas 30, maybe even more than that, 41-30, something like that.
Craig?
Yeah, I have Baylor by a couple of scores. I forget the exact numbers I gave on the prediction for the website, but yeah, I'm going Baylor. I have to believe with shaping back the way they were playing offense last week, and the fact that defense I just feel has to have some pride at home, homecoming weekend, must win. Like I said, if they don't win today, then when are they going to win? So I'm expecting a win today, and I think that in front of the home crowd, they eventually pull away.
I had mentioned Baylor 33-27, but I also have missed the games when I said they would lose at Ames, they would win at Brigham Young and Provo, and they'd also beat Iowa State. This is Game Day Live. Enjoy your night.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sic 'em Bears.
So before I came to Dr. Thrasher, my teeth were awful. They were ugly. They were yellow. They just looked nasty. I came here and Dr. Thrasher fixed them. They're gorgeous. I love to smile in my pictures and show them off to everybody. I just love them.
Well, I feel terrific. I mean, it's what I live for in dentistry, is to be able to have an impact on somebody's